Something has felt different lately, even when things are quiet. You might not have been able to put it into words, but you could feel it. A thought keeps coming back. A memory keeps coming back. You might have thought about someone from your past for no clear reason. You feel like something deep inside you started to move again. This isn't by chance. Mercury will be at one of the strongest points in its retrograde cycle over the next 36 hours. It stops pulling back in the shadows and gets into a rare position with the sun that can bring sudden truth, deep understanding, and a kind of inner clarity that is hard to ignore. Mercury has been retrograde in Pisces since February 25th, and it hasn't been easy to deal with that energy. Mercury is in charge of memory, communication, thinking, and speaking. Pisces is in charge of dreams, feelings, intuition, symbols, and the parts of the mind that are not obvious. When Mercury goes backward through Pisces, things don't come back in a clear and easy way. They come back as feelings, strange signs, old memories, feelings that aren't done yet, and questions that won't leave you alone. You might have been unsure of what was real, and what was just fear, desire, or imagination. You might have looked back at something from your past and realized that you still don't fully get it. This is what this retrograde has been doing. It has been bringing up old issues from the past, not so you can go through them again, but so you can finally see them clearly. The energy changes now. In astrology, this rare event is called Cazimi. It happens when Mercury moves into the very center of the sun. This is important because when a planet gets too close to the sun, it usually loses strength. The sun's heat and brightness make it hard to hear its message. But Cazimi is not the same. The planet is not hurt in this exact spot. It gets stronger. Mercury seems to step into a holy fire and come out cleaner, sharper, and more honest than before. The confusion is burned away instead of the person. Mercury doesn't lose its voice. It finds its purest one. That's why this moment is so important. Mercury has been carrying around weeks of mixed feelings, unclear thoughts, lies, and conversations that aren't finished. Light is now testing all of that. At this moment, nothing fake can last. Things that were unclear start to make sense. Things that were hidden start to show up. A truth you've been avoiding may finally show itself to you. You may suddenly understand something that you could feel but couldn't put into words. The answer might not come in a loud, dramatic way. It could be a short sentence, a memory that suddenly feels different, or a feeling in your body that tells you, "This is it. This is what I've been trying to figure out." This is why ancient astrologers gave this moment so much importance. They said they were in the heart of the sun. That phrase wasn't used lightly. It meant that the planet was now at the center of solar power. People used to think that planets that were too close to the sun were in danger, but this place was different. People thought of it as a place to get clean, find the truth, and get special powers. Mercury doesn't go away here. It gets cleaner. Taking away everything that isn't needed makes its message stronger. Think of it as putting gold in the fire. The heat gets rid of things that don't belong. Dirt goes up. Weakness goes away. What is left is more real than it was before. Mercury is going through that right now. Because Mercury rules the mind, your words, your understanding, and the messages that come into your life, this can be a time when everything in your head suddenly makes more sense. Not because life gets easier, but because it's easier to see what's true. This particular Cazimi feels even stronger because Mercury is moving backwards at the same time. That means it's not just about getting new ideas. It is also about the truth coming back. Something from the past may come back, but you see it in a new way now. A conversation that was hard to follow may suddenly make sense. You might remember someone you thought you had forgotten because you still need to understand something about them. If you didn't fully deal with a feeling, it might come back. When something moves backward, it turns the mind backward. It makes Mercury go over, look at, and open things that were never really done. And since all of this is happening in Pisces, it may feel very emotional and spiritual. Pisces doesn't talk in straight lines. It talks to you through dreams, moods, symbols, memories and feelings that seem to come out of nowhere. That's why the last few weeks might have seemed so strange. There may have been times when your heart knew something that your mind could not. You may have had trouble speaking clearly because the real answer seemed too deep for normal words. You might have had dreams that stuck with you all day, even after the details faded away. You might have felt drawn to someone, something, or a memory for reasons you couldn't put into words. This is the sign of Pisces. It doesn't always talk about facts first. It communicates via emotion. Mercury doesn't feel at home in Pisces because it likes things to be in order and make sense. Pisces breaks up order. It makes things less clear. It combines memory with feeling and imagination with meaning. It can feel like trying to read a page while the ink keeps running when Mercury is in Pisces. You know there's a message there, but every time you try to hold it, it slips away. That's why this Cazimi is so strong. The message doesn't move for a short time. The water stops moving. The words stop melting. What was hard to read is now clear. You might already be feeling the effects of this. There may have been a strange silence inside you, a pause that seems important. You may have noticed that you get upset about things that you thought didn't matter anymore. You might be tired in a way that sleep doesn't help, because it's not just physical tiredness. It is the weight of something that hasn't been solved coming from deeper layers. A memory may have kept coming back, or a person may have stayed in your mind without you knowing it. It could be that you've been avoiding the truth, because it will require you to change something in your life. Mercury retrograde in Pisces can bring up things like these, especially when it gets close to a moment like this. This transit is important because it's not just about being confused. It is about finding out the truth after being confused. It's about getting to the center after getting lost in the fog. Many people may have felt emotionally heavy, unclear, and hard to read over the past few weeks. But this part of the cycle can lead to a breakthrough. It can help you understand what all of those feelings were trying to show you. It can help you figure out what you've really been feeling deep down. It can help you see where you've been lying to yourself, where you've been holding on too long, or where your soul already knows the answer, but your mind keeps putting it off. And there is one more important part to this. After this strong meeting with the Sun, Mercury moves into a helpful relationship with Jupiter. Then, just a few days later, Jupiter goes direct. This is important because Mercury sends the message and Jupiter gives it meaning, helps it grow, and gives it a bigger picture. Truth comes first. Next, you need to understand why that truth is important. The fog goes away first. After that, the road ahead is easier to see. So this isn't just a time to feel something. It could also be the start of a much bigger change in how you see things. This is why this moment can seem like both an end and a start. A part of your inner story might be burning away. A previous excuse, confusion, illusion, or emotional pattern may no longer be able to survive. At the same time, something stronger is coming into being. A better understanding, a more honest way, a message that you can't ignore anymore. You might not be the same person when you leave as you were when you came in, because truth changes people. You can't pretend you don't know something once you see it clearly. So pay attention to what is clear now. Pay attention to the thought that keeps coming back. Pay attention to the name that comes up again. Pay attention to how your body feels. Pay attention to what suddenly sounds true that didn't before. The answer may come quietly, but it will be important. It will feel clean. It will seem like the end. It won't need any decorations. That's how real clarity usually comes. Not with noise, but with surety. This is the more profound gift of Mercury Cazimi in Pisces. It does not take the emotion out of the truth. It goes through feelings until the truth is finally clear. It doesn't want you to be cold or distant. It tells you to be honest. It tells you to face what has been inside you without running away from it. It tells you to stop calling something confusion when it's really fear, or fantasy when it's really intuition, or finished when it still has power over your heart. Something significant is emerging now. Something that has been buried under memory, silence, longing, or inner noise is getting closer to the surface. The message is not being lost. It is being cleaned. In the next few hours, you may realize that what felt like emotional chaos was actually a path that led you straight to one clear truth. Life doesn't always send a soft hint. It does not knock softly. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It turns on all the lights at once. This is how this Mercury Cazimi feels. Not a slow understanding, not a realization that was quiet. More like a quick flash that makes everything clear for a split second. And in that moment, you might see the one thing you've been trying not to see. Maybe it's a connection you kept, even though your heart left it a long time ago. Maybe it's a part you've been playing because other people are used to that version of you. Maybe someone who didn't really know you gave you a belief about yourself that you thought was true. It may still look right on paper. It may still look okay from the outside. But on the inside, it doesn't feel real anymore. And that's why this moment is so important. This Mercury Cazimi is not here to make the fake version of your life feel better. It is here to show you what is still alive and what is just getting by out of habit. Mercury is moving through Pisces, which is not a simple sign. It is full of memories, deep, blurry, and emotional. It combines the past with the present. It makes you feel things that you can't put into words. It brings back memories of people, places, and things you thought were gone, like names, faces, old thoughts, old regrets, unfinished conversations, and feelings. When Mercury gets to the center of the sun in a sign like Pisces, the truth doesn't come in a cold, logical way. It comes from feelings. It comes from a deep sense of knowing. It comes from the part of you that already knew something was wrong, even before you could put it into words. That's what makes this time so strong. Mercury has been moving backward through the most sensitive part of the sky, pulling your attention to things that still need to be fixed. Things may have seemed unclear for days, or even weeks. You might have changed your mind a few times. You were sure one minute, and unsure the next. You may have tried to ignore the signs, but they came back in a different form. You might have told yourself that you were overthinking things when your deeper self was really trying to get your attention. And then the Cazimi happens. Mercury moves to the center of the sun, and for a short time, the fog clears. That is what this transit is all about. It isn't long, but it is strong. It is a window that makes something hidden impossible to ignore. It is the kind of clarity that can change the course of your next few months, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But it's not just about how strong it is. This is also about what happens when the light comes on. Because Mercury doesn't leave this moment and go back to being confused. It makes a beautiful connection with Jupiter in Cancer as it moves away from the Sun, and that changes everything. This is the part that makes sense. This is the part that helps the truth become a part of your life, in a way that works for you. Jupiter in Cancer does not mean loud wisdom. It is not knowledge that is dry. It is wisdom that comes from the heart. It talks about feeling, protection, emotional safety, and inner truth. It reminds you of how good it feels to be at peace in your body. It helps you tell the difference between things that only look good and things that really feel good. So, as Mercury moves away from the Sun's fire and toward Jupiter, the message gets clearer. Truth comes first. Next is comprehension. The reveal comes first. Then comes the why. That matters because a lot of people can handle the truth for a short time, but they have trouble with what comes next. It can be shocking, to be clear, but wisdom helps you deal with it. That is the best part of this whole thing. It's not just pointing out what's wrong. It helps you figure out what needs to change and why it matters now. And the timing of this is not by chance. For weeks, this story has been getting bigger. You could say it started in February when Mercury first entered the shadow of this retrograde. That was when the pattern began to take shape, even though it looked small at first. Maybe a certain problem kept coming back. It's possible that an old conversation stayed in your mind. You might have kept feeling emotionally drawn to something that wasn't done. The ground shook during the eclipse on March 3. It opened up what had been buried. It brought pressure to the surface. It made some feelings impossible to ignore. And now, on March 6th and 7th, this Cazimi shines directly into that open space and shows you what was there all along. This is why life has been strange lately. You are not in an emotional storm that just happened. You are at a very important point of change right now. Something has been falling apart, and something more true is trying to rise. Your voice is one of the most likely places where this energy will show up. Mercury is in charge of all the words you say or don't say, as well as communication, speech, messages, and thought patterns. When Mercury is in retrograde in Pisces, it gets hard to talk. The words you keep saying don't go away. They stay in the body, they're in the chest. They make the throat tighter. They go around in circles in the mind at night. In the dark, they get stronger. And when the Cazimi happens, that pressure can finally let go. You might suddenly feel like you can say something you've been keeping to yourself for too long. It could be a truth you kept from hurting anyone. You might have known you needed that boundary, but kept putting it off. One honest sentence could change the tone of a whole relationship. It may seem strange that this is happening now, but it's not because it's new. It will feel strong because it is finally honest. This is not the kind of moment that makes fake peace possible. It backs up the real truth. So, if you've been editing yourself to make other people feel better, that might be harder now. If you've been hiding your feelings so that no one else has to deal with them, that pattern may start to break. That sentence might not work anymore if you've been saying, "It's fine," when it's not. Now the real voice wants to come out. Not the smooth voice, not the voice of safety, the real one. This energy also has a strong effect on relationships. Mercury, retrograde in Pisces, has been quietly putting the emotional ties in your life to the test. It has been showing you which relationships still have warmth and honesty in them, and which ones have only been kept alive by routine, guilt, loneliness, or fear of change. That is one of the more difficult truths that this transit can bring. You might find that some people in your life don't really care about you anymore. You might notice that some relationships only last because you keep doing all the emotional work. You might feel very strongly that some relationships drain your energy while others help you grow. That kind of clarity can be painful, especially for Pisces who feels everything. It makes me sad. It remembers. It hopes. It wants to hold on to what is slipping away. But sometimes the best thing you can do is stop pretending that something still fits when it doesn't. Some relationships are only meant to last for a short time. Some people teach you something important and then leave a hole in your heart that can't be filled in the same way again. There is a price to pay for holding on to the truth, and this Cazimi helps you figure out when that cost is too high. But the most important part of this journey isn't just about other people. It concerns you. It's about the things you tell yourself when no one else is around. The stories that have become normal, even if they hurt you. The story that tells you you're fine when you're really tired in your soul. The tale that says you don't need more when everything in you wants more. The story that says this life is enough, but you know deep down that you made it out of fear, not desire. This is where this transit gets very personal. Mercury and Pisces can make you lie to yourself in a soft and almost beautiful way. It can cover up hard truths with excuses. It can put off being honest by calling it kindness. It can make you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, hoping that things will become clear without needing to be brave. But that's not how the sun works. The sun shows. The sun shows. The sun burns through anything that can't stand being in direct light. When Mercury goes into that fire, the fake story starts to fall apart. This isn't a punishment. It is cleaning. It isn't here to make you feel bad. It is here to set you free, because it takes energy to keep up the lie, even the small one. Truth may hurt for a short time, but pretending will wear you out for a long time. The most powerful part of this energy builds up on March 6th and peaks in the early hours of March 6th and peaks in the early hours of March 7th. The exact heart of the moment is short, but that doesn't mean it's small. In astrology, short does not mean weak. The smallest window can sometimes have the biggest change. You might feel it as a sudden realization, a strange dream, an emotional release. A memory that comes back with new meaning, or just one sentence that hits you in a way it never has before. The insight might come quietly, but it stays once it does. On March 9, Mercury and Jupiter will be in Cancer, which is when they will meet. This is where things start to make sense. The truth that the Cazimi shows you starts to settle into your feelings. You stop responding and start to understand. You start to see not just what is ending, but also what is starting. Not just what hurt you, but what it taught you. Not only what you need to leave behind, but also what kind of future can finally grow once you do. When Jupiter is in Cancer, it gives you a softer kind of strength. It reminds you that growth isn't always loud. Sometimes growing means finding out what makes your nervous system feel safe. It can be realizing that peace is worth more than intensity. Sometimes you have to trust the quiet yes in your body more than the loud pressure in your head. The message gets better when Mercury gets to Jupiter. It's not just a truth that hurts anymore. It becomes a truth that leads. After that, on March 10th, Jupiter goes direct. That is the way to move forward. That's the start. For months, Jupiter has been moving backwards, keeping its energy inside and slowly building something that it isn't ready to let go of yet. You might feel like something inside you starts to move again when Jupiter goes direct in Cancer. A part of your faith that has been frozen may start to melt. An emotional process that has been stuck may finally start to move. A path that seemed blocked may start to show the next step. This is why these days are so important to be together. The pressure starts on March 6th. The truth comes on March 7. March 9 brings knowledge. March 10 is the day of movement. It is one clean curve. First you look, then you get it, then you go. This is not just something that happens in the sky, it is a personal passage. It really asks, what will you do once you know the truth? That's where your power is right now. Not in avoiding, not in putting things off, not by making the old story sound better. The choice you make after the light comes on gives you power. Do this before you go to bed on March 6th if you want to work with this energy in a simple but meaningful way. Get a plain piece of paper, not your phone, not a notebook full of other things to think about. Only one page is loose. One question should be at the top. Just one. You keep avoiding the question because it would require you to be too honest. The question that makes your heart race when you see it. The question you already know is important, even though you keep walking around it. Don't answer it right away. Simply write down the question and put the paper next to your bed. Then let the night take care of it. Let your deeper mind think about it. Let your dreams, your body, and your inner voice do what they do. Because this Mercury Cazimi is not asking you to force an answer. It is asking you to become honest enough to receive one. And when the answer comes, it may not arrive as a perfect speech. It may come as relief. It may come as sadness. It may come as a sentence you cannot stop hearing. It may come as the sudden knowledge that you can no longer keep living in a way that goes against your own heart. That is the real gift of this moment. Not drama, not fear, not confusion. Truth. Truth that is clean. Truth that lives. The kind that makes your chest feel better. The kind that stops the fight inside. The kind that helps you move forward without breaking yourself in half. So if you feel different now, believe that. Notice if a bond feels heavier. Stop pushing a truth down if it keeps coming up. Now is not the time to run away from what you know. Now is the time to meet it fully. The light is on now, and what it shows you might be the thing that sets you free. When you're in Pisces, your dreaming mind often knows things before your waking mind does, so give it what your conscious mind has been putting off. Don't reach for anything right away when you wake up on March 7. For 3 minutes, sit still. Not formal meditation, just being still. Let anything that came up during the night into your mind. Then get a piece of paper and write down whatever comes to mind. Don't change it. Don't clean it up. Don't stop to make it sound right. Let the words flow like water does when something inside finally breaks free. Mercury's Cazimi may be speaking through you when you write on that page. On March 8, take that paper outside. If you can, stand on grass, dirt, or bare earth with no shoes on. Touch the ground with your feet. Read what you wrote one more time. Then burn the paper after you fold it. The goal is not to destroy the truth, but to let it out of the page and into your life. Look at the smoke as it rises. There is a language for fire. Flames are the sun's voice. Let the words go now. Write again on March 9 when Mercury and Jupiter are in a trine. But this time, don't write the question down. Write the first step down. Only one. One thing you can do that shows you respect what the Cazimi showed you. Not much of a plan. There is no full plan. One honest move. That moment when a person finally knows which way is forward is sometimes all that matters. When Jupiter goes direct on March 10, you should take that step. Don't wait for the right time. Mercury retrograde can make you believe that you have to wait for the perfect time to act. That's how it keeps you stuck. Jupiter direct says something else. It says that you can move now. It says that the ground will support you. It says that what has felt pressed down is ready to open. I didn't come up with this 5-day path from stillness to fire to action. It's already written in the sky's shape. This isn't just what the planets are saying. It is something that is happening. The only thing you need to decide is whether you will take part with awareness or let it hit you like it will hit those who never stopped to listen. And the fact that you got this message at this exact time during this transit might already tell you something about the frequency you are moving in. But this isn't the whole story yet. There's one more part of this Cazimi that you need to pay close attention to, and it changes how the rest of the month goes. Venus enters Aries on the same day this Cazimi starts. This is the first time in more than 160 years that Venus and Neptune meet there. So, as the mind clears, the heart opens. That isn't random. That's how you make a real turning point. When the messenger is cleansed and the heart is awakened at the same time, more than just information comes. It's the start of something new. But a beginning only matters if you know you won't be the same person when you leave it. A lot of people will feel upset, confused, and upset this week. Like people do when the weather is bad, they will wait for it to pass. But you don't have to wait. You're here to stand in the heat with your eyes open and let it show you what is really yours and what never was. And now you're here to leave everything else behind. That's not a small thing. It takes guts to let the truth change you. It takes strength to not run away from it. So keep this in mind. The Cazimi goes on for hours. The retrograde goes on for weeks. The self that comes out of this process, on the other hand, can stay with you for the rest of your life. It was always there. The sun made it impossible to miss. So get moving with this now. Send this to someone who has been going through this retrograde in silence and can't figure out why everything feels heavier than it should. Let this message get to the right person. If something you heard today hit a truth that you've been keeping to yourself, please leave it in the comments. Not for me, for you. Let it be somewhere other than your chest. And if you want to keep seeing these transits clearly, stay connected. You are still here, so every hour spent watching these planetary movements and turning them into something your spirit can feel is still going on. The sky has already said something. You have the choice now.